What's up, everybody? Well, I got another Asus G15 Advantage video for you guys today. And today, we are going to try to take the cheap phase change pads off and use some Honeywell. Now, of course, this could still be not really Honeywell. And they could have just said it was, but it's supposed to be Honeywell. So, basic plan is, we're gonna open this thing up, take the old pads off, put these new pads in, and then go test some games and see if our temps have improved whatsoever. Because right now with these, the CPU, honestly, is not too different. But the GPU is getting all the way up to 90, 91 degrees, and it used to only get up to 86, 87. So, that is a huge difference. So I'd like to bring those temps back down if I can, unless I literally broke something, like a heat pipe or something, but none of those bent or look weird to me, so I don't know how I would have fucked that up, but who knows. So, first things first, we'll go over some of the stuff we need before we open the thing up. So first thing you're going to need is obviously your phase change pad. So get that, keep it in a cool place. As soon as I'm done with this shot, I'm actually gonna go put it in my bonus room, which is like 50 freaking degrees, because those things, when they heat up, they're harder to work with. So I don't want to have to try messing with it in a half viscous state. So that will be going back. Other things that you need are a screwdriver, and this one is of course Linus's, so you can get one of these at lttstore.com. Very nice screwdriver, albeit maybe a slightly overpriced, but hey, you get to help the tech community out. And I've been watching Linus forever, so I was like, ah, fuck it, I'll support him. Anyway, though, you also need some tweezers to get the, you don't really need these, but they help me out since I'm not great with finite things for taking the ribbon cables off of the bottom here. You will need a pry bar of some kind, either one that looks like this, or there's also some smaller ones that look like little guitar picks. And then some kind of little bowl. This is a magnetic one, but you need something to put all your screws in so you don't lose them. You can just put them all over the table, but then if you're like me and you get your blower out and you forget they're there, oh, well, now they're all gone somewhere. Oh, maybe they went behind your table and it's not as easy to get them behind your table as mine. Just as an example. So now that we got all that out of the way, let's get into this motherfucker, shall we? Well, all right, guys, let's start unscrewing the screws. Now, I'm not going to do all of them on camera like usual. We've seen me do that quite a few times. If you actually need to watch me do that, I can always direct you to another video of mine where I have taken all the screws out, but super easy. Just get them all out. Now, I just wanted to say a few things. The ones in the back and the ones in the middle, whoops, these are all long, as you can see. The ones in the front, let me take a couple out here, or take one out. Not get my hand in the shot, though. There we go. Now, the front ones are really short, just like that. So you don't want to accidentally mix and match those up. And then, when you get to this guy at the very end over here, on your guys's, he should stop. But on mine, I've taken it apart so much it comes out. You can even tell it looks slightly different, although you guys probably won't be able to see from back there. And then if I bring it too close, it probably won't focus. But anyway, it looks slightly different than all the rest of them. So I always put him off by himself and then keep the rest in their little home. So other than that, just make sure you get all of your screws out. And then after you do that, then we can get on to the next step. Well, all right, guys, now that you've gotten your screws on out, you got to get this thing to break its seal. So what I have found best is to go right at about here and just try to get the thing right there. Go there. It's kind of hard for me to hold this without it pushing back, but you'd want to push up here and it'll make some, here we go. I'm sure you heard that, and since I've got big nails, here we go. And then just do that around the whole ordeal. There's actually little places. There's one right here for you to go up and do that with, and then you can just go down. There we go, and there we are. And then just do that around pretty much with yours, since you probably haven't opened as much as mine. You want to go around pretty much half the circumference, and then you can usually lightly pry up on it. Mine is so loose now because I've had this thing open so much. I could probably get it open now, but I'll just get it on open for you guys, and then we'll move on to the next step. There's one step I definitely don't want you guys to miss, because it could result in you breaking your RGB, and we don't want that. Now, we're going to take these little ribbon cables off. So, you just flip these little black things up into the right position, then you can use your tweezers to grab the little blue label, gently pull, and it should come out with no effort. And there you go. You've gotten rid of the RGB cable, so now you can get that thing out of your way and you don't have to worry about breaking it like I constantly did while I was doing my RAM videos and whatnot before I figured out how to do that. So now, time for me to get this vapor chamber off, and then we can get those old phase change pads off, and then we'll cut to the part where I put the new pads on. Last time I made a video on this, I was so excited to just try them out. I completely forgot to show you guys how to put them on. So we will do that next. Well, all right, guys. We've got ourselves our little phase change pads cut to size. I did the best I could. I basically had to eyeball it. I meant to buy one of those cool little, I can't remember what they're called, but they look like calipers, and if you put them up to something, like say my fingers are it, you'd put it up to this and be like, oh, well that's exactly 1.2 millimeters wide, or something like that. I'm sure they have a scientific name, but I cannot for the life of me remember. So, let's see, I haven't actually installed them yet, so here we go. I'm just trying to get them back off. I just wanted to set them there to make sure that they were the right size, and it seems like they are. So now we can get started with the installation process. Now, I made sure to leave myself a place to grip this thing to kind of like get the freaking top layer off. Here we go. Maybe. There we are. Stupid sag electricity. All right, so we've peeled off the protective layer now. Now we've got to be careful. There we go. And then the fun part. You've got to find a piece of the plastic, because you don't want to leave the plastic on there. You're going to get really bad temps then. Only problem is you don't want to completely destroy your goop. So this is definitely a pretty hard task. I think I've almost got it. Nah, see, it's trying to tear on me. So I might have to redo this guy. This stuff's very delicate. All right, well, yeah, see, a little bit tore out right there. So unfortunately, we're gonna have to redo that. This is the annoying part, but that's pretty much all you do. So we'll also try to put the GPU guy on. There we go. And you can just use your tweezers to kind of gently press it down. And then just like on the other guy, you're going to have to... Oh, no, wait. Did I actually get that off of there my first try? Hell yeah, look at that. We got the GPU on off. So the CPU one, though... There we go. So we put the little quarter back in. It's gonna mush down under pressure anyway, so it should fill in that gap. So shouldn't be the end of the world. And also, I should mention, when I took the original ones off, I think I had too much fucking pressure because I was using 2 O-rings. So what I'm gonna try to do with these phase change pads, since pressure was really just for getting the liquid metal to make a better contact, let's just leave it alone. Let's just put these guys back in stock. I'll go put all of my little O-rings somewhere else, someplace, so, or my washers, not O-rings, my washers somewhere, and then we can just get this thing put back together. I was kind of thinking if there's anything else I'm forgetting to do, because I want to remember to do it now. So yeah, let's go put the vapor chamber back on now, and then we'll get to testing these things. All right, we've got the vapor chamber halfway on. Now, since I'm doing it my way, where I'm not taking the fans out at first, because I don't want to have them moving around and putting pressure on those, because I don't like taking these things out more than I have to. I've seen a bunch of people break the little fan things off of the little fans. So what I like to do is I like to put these 3 screws back in. There's 1, 2, 3, and that'll hold the vapor chamber exactly where it needs to be. And then after that, helps to actually have your ratchet screwdriver on the right setting. Then you can take these fans out just for a quick second, because like I said, since I do this my way, if we were to leave these the way they are, you would have some very, very bad cooling problems, let me tell you. Because, hey, come out of there, you. There we go. This little plastic thing would have been blocking this whole ordeal. So I like to make sure that when I slide the fan back in, the fan is holding it down so it physically can't fuck up. And then you can put your fan back in and then repeat on the other side. So there we go. We got that. Here we go. So now that fan is back in there, so just repeat the process on the other side and then we'll come back. Well, all right, guys, let's start putting our screws back in. So there we go. We'll start with the one with the little warning label, maybe. If I can get the freaking screwdriver head in there. I should have taken the fucking sticker off. Here we go. Now, I'm going to do this just stock, without adding any washers, because when I took this apart, all of the phase change pad was smooshed out the side, and there was almost nothing left making contact. So I think that trick only works for liquid metal. So when it comes time to put things back, just try to do it in a cross pattern. You don't have to tighten them all the way down yet. You can do a final tight down when you get to the end. But just wanted to go over what I found, seeing as though I don't want you guys to put phase change pads on this thing at all, probably. This may change my mind, but it just doesn't seem like a worthwhile idea. I think liquid metal is probably the way to go. You just have to do this. You either have to leave it alone or get mounting pressure on there, because I've seen a couple people that had no problem with this. So, and they got better temps than I did. So they're doing something right. All right, and now that you've got all of your screws in, you can go around and do a final tight down just to make sure they're all tight. You don't have to wrench it. Just give it a tiny little, whoop. Don't want to strip your screws either, so make sure you got your thing in the hole properly. There we go. So they're all taut now. So now we can put our bottom back on and put our little things back on. So let me go grab that and I'll show you guys how to put the cables back in for RGB. All right, so now we'll get our little tweezers out. Although, I'll try to do it free-handed. Might have better luck. Half the time I can't do things like this with my hands, but let's give it a shot. So, get that little white line to line up with the outside, and then plop your little doorway down like that. Give it a little tug. All right, that doesn't seem like it's all the way in, so I'm going to make sure it's all the way in. There we go. And then we can shove the other one in there. There we go. Just make sure they're taut, or they're in there. Just give it a small little tug. Not hard, or you'll rip it out, and then it'll never work again. And hell, every time you do this, it could look fine and you might have fucked it up anyway. Even me. So that's why you gotta be careful with these guys. And then just make sure they don't fall into the fans. I like to direct the one on the right because it does like to try to fall back into the fan. There we go. And then get that kind of back on like that. And then just go around your laptop till you hear a bunch of cracks. And there we go. And now you've just re-snapped your laptop back together, and then all you have to do is put your screws back in. So I'll go do that off camera real quick, and then we'll try booting it and make sure I didn't break the thing. And as long as it boots, we'll try and do some tests and see how this stuff works. And if this doesn't work, we will just probably go back to fucking liquid metal, because this doesn't seem to be working. Let me also grab these guys so I don't lose them. That would absolutely not be good. And now, let's go boot this thing up and see how it does. Hopefully it'll start. Well, all right, guys. We've got the whole thing back together, all plugged back into the monitor and everything, so let's just do what we always do. Take a good luck hit and hit that power button and hope we didn't fuck nothing up. So, now let's come on over here and hit power and see what it does. Well, my RGB is lighting up, so apparently I didn't break that, so that's good. Now, once it gets into Windows, I have that shut off, because as you can tell in the camera, it flickers like crazy. And the last thing I want to do is give somebody who watches my videos a seizure or something. That would not be good. Oh, well, this'll help. I was like, uh-oh, we're not getting any picture, what the fuck? And all right, and at least it booted, so let me go sign in, and then we will start with the benchmarks and temp tests. Well, all right, guys. Here's some Cinebench real quick. We got 11,403. We did 10 minutes of test throttling. We didn't just run it real quick and whatnot. Still couldn't beat my old school top score, though, of 12,447, which still isn't like, oh my god, the best score in the world. But that's what I used to get. Still haven't been able to get back to that yet. And we still get up to the same 96. Average about 92. But still, that's better than it did before. We were getting up to 96 to 98, or 97, 98 in some instances before. We'll have to wait till we get to the game tests to see if that stopped doing that, though. Anyway, now let's go run some 3D marks, shall we? All right, so we got 26,524 for a Firestrike score, with 32,297 for graphics, 23,411 for physics, and 12,338 for combined. And there's our monitoring software. We still weren't able to quite hit our average score here, and we were really far away from the best scores for this thing, but it is what it is. Here's the detailed scores, if anyone's interested. And with that, let's go ahead and do some Timespy now. Here is Timespy, 10,244, and there's our score. We did not beat the average again. We got 10,419 for graphics and 9,358 for CPU, but it is what it is. We were not able to beat the average or the max, but it's whatever. Here's our detailed scores, though, for those who are interested. And then here's some other random detailed monitoring graphs. And then let's go look at the temps real quick. We still got up to 96.4 for the CPU, but at least it didn't go up to 97 or anything yet, so that's at least good. Let's scroll on down to the 6800M. We get 88 this time, so we still didn't hit 90 or anything, so that's at least good. We'll have to wait till we get into actual games, though, to see what we get, because that saturates the whole heatsink when you do that, so I'm excited to find out. But anyway, let's move on to games, shall we? All right, guys, let's just run around here. We just started the game, basically, so we're just going to see what the temps do for like around a minute 50 seconds, so 140, 150, something like that. Then I'll just run around for like 20, 30 minutes, maybe a little longer, and then we'll see what the temps are still like after that. We'll see if, after a long period of gaming, if it just starts going right back up to what it used to.
back up to like 90, 91 in some instances. CPU so far seems to be right at 96, and that's where it used to be stuck all the time no matter what. It pretty much never stopped being 96. But that's just one game. Maybe in other games it will get hotter. We'll have to wait and see once I start doing some more videos. But for now, I think I'll just leave this alone because these temps aren't absolutely terrible now. Compared to what I had, anyway. Or not what I had, but what I was getting. I was getting into the 90s, as you guys said. A lot of people were like, wow, what the hell's up with your GPU? It's getting so fucking hot. I'm like, yeah, I did that to myself. I put terrible phase change pads on, the cheap ones, not the Honeywells. The Honeywells definitely seem to be doing better. We're at 87, 88, so we're still doing better than 90, 91. Not like, oh my god, 10,000 worlds of difference, but every degree helps on a laptop, you know? It's just like when you're on a, going for a record, you know? Every little megahertz helps. At least in the benchmarks. It might not really help that awful much in the actual games. I should do that sometime. Go on one of my desktops and just see how the games react to an overclocked GPU and everything else. And then after that, see what it's like stock, just for fun. See how much FPS you really get. Anyway, let's go run around for a little bit, and then we'll come back. So now we've been playing for about 36-ish minutes or so, getting closer to the 40-minute mark, so I figured we'd start recording again and see what the temps were like. Our CPU is still at 96, and it has not gone off 96. It's been 96 the whole time. Now, the GPU seems to go between 87 and 88, but seems to like 88 a little more. But that's still better than 90, 91. See, it drops down to 87 every once in a blue moon. And then after like a minute 40 to a minute 50, we'll go and up the resolution from 1080p to 1440p just to see if that makes it get way hotter than 1080p. It shouldn't, but I just want to be thorough here with our tests. I wanted to do Forza Horizon, or Forza Horizon 5, but it wouldn't launch. It literally kept getting to the first little logo screen before it even does anything. And then just kept crashing back to desktop. So I guess I have to repair it or uninstall it and reinstall it. I don't know what's up with it. I haven't played it in fucking forever. Still, though, just because I haven't played a game forever doesn't mean it should just stop working. That's just dumb. And then I wanted to do Hogwarts, but then once I reloaded the game, I realized, oh shit, I'm 45 minutes deep into some cave I've been exploring. And I didn't want to leave what I was doing just to get some footage, so we'll have to come back and we'll see how that game and maybe a couple other of the hardest games I know of to run, like this one included, to run all in one. Whoa, what the fuck that lady doing? She was like walking on air there for a second. All right, there she goes. She's got it figured out now. Anyway. All right, so now let's go up the resolution 1440. So now, guys, we are at 1440p. We have not changed any other settings. The same settings, just changed the resolution. That is it. Didn't show you guys the settings, but it's pretty much just my settings. I should have showed them, but it is what it is. This is more of not really a settings video. This is more of just a let's run the game and see how hot the thing gets video, you know? But we're still 88 or 87, 88. Still 96 on the dot on the CPU, which is nice. It sounds weird to say that, but compared to what I was getting up to 97, 98 on that thing. And it never used to get over 96, like ever, on the liquid metal. So the fact that this little Honeywell thermal pack can keep it at the same temp is cool with me. Now, this is just one game, so I'll have to test other games to see if it overheats. But so far, so good. This is a pretty hard game to run. I definitely need to go and test a bunch of other games. So we'll include this one, like Hogwarts once I get out, maybe Wulong, a couple other harder to run games. Returnal. Just to see how they're all running. And see if they're overheating or getting way hotter than this game does. But I still think Cyberpunk is probably the hardest to run game I have, especially when you turn the ray tracing on. But if I did that, then we would definitely not stay at 60. And even with these settings, I believe every once in a blue moon I drop down to like 56, 57. So it's still not a flawless 60 FPS experience, but it is what it is. I still have fun playing. At least the frame times aren't like super skippy. It's not getting giant spikes all the time. So that's at least good. There are games where that happens all of the time. There's just giant spikes all the time and it's really unfun. Kind of like Hogwarts. It does that on all my computers, no matter how powerful it is, no matter what settings you have. It's just evacidated when you do the fucking ray tracing. You turn that shit on, it turns into a super stutter show. Anyway, though, ooh, that's a pretty fun car. Let's go fuck with it. Can't steal it. All right, well, we would just teabag your car. We will just teabag your car. That's right, we'll teabag your car. Anyway, let's go wrap this video on up.
Well, alright guys, that is about a wrap for this video. We at least got the CPU back to about stockish levels. It used to get 96 and now it sits right at 96 like all the time. So I'm okay with that. Better than it getting up to 97, 98 like it has been. And now I know why. Since I had those damn washers in there, that was too much pressure for that. Only do that if you're going to be doing liquid metal. I don't think you have to do that for anything else really. Just for liquid metal. Anything else, you can just take the washers out, leave it with the stock little springs, and you are good to go. Otherwise, you're going to put too much pressure in and it's going to smush all of your thermal compound or your thermal pad like I'm using, the phase change pad here from Honeywell now. And the original one was the cheap one and it was all mushed out. So there was basically almost nothing making contact. So no wonder we were getting such horrible temps. And we're still not getting quite as good temps on the GPU as we used to with the liquid metal before I ever took it apart. That's still at 87 to 88. It bounces between the two. More often than not stays at 88, but I'll take that over getting up to 90 to 91 like it has been getting. So we'll see if any other games keep doing that, but I don't think I have a game that's harder to run still than Crysis. Maybe Hogwarts, but I wanted to run that, but unfortunately I was stuck in a cave, so can't do that. Once I get out of the damn cave, we'll maybe go do another video where we just try all the hardest to run games I have, and we'll just see how it runs them all and what temps it gets. That would be an interesting video, I think. But in any case, I would say this is a good alternative if you don't want to risk liquid metal and you're scared it's going to get on something and fry your laptop. It's not that much worse in the GPU. It's like 2 degrees worse than it was with liquid metal at its prime for me. And the CPU is the same, 96 all the time. Never went up over 96 a single time that I saw during the 35, 40 minutes of gameplay I got. Or I sat there and ran around the city for at least that before I turned the camera back on. But anyway, so I like those phase change pads. Pretty cool. I don't think I'm gonna mess with it anymore. I think I'm just gonna leave it alone unless we start playing other games and it starts doing what it did before and getting up to fucking 98 to almost 100 degrees on the CPU and getting over 90 on the GPU. It was getting up to like 91, 92 in some games, and that's just too hot. For my taste, I'd rather it be back to how I had it. There's no reason it shouldn't be, you know? It's not like that's the worst thing in the world, but the hotter your shit is, that's not gonna last as long. Like, for me, that's not the end of the world, because I still feel like this thing can probably last 2-3 years in its current state without having any issues at its current rate that I'm using it. But at the same time, if I tone down settings and stuff, it seems like almost everything that undervolts makes me lose performance in certain games for the CPU, like turning off the turbo and whatnot. And I'd rather just have all that performance and have it be hot. That's just me though, but there's lots of options for people that don't want it to run that. And I still have to make an undervolting video, but I still have to figure out how to do it all properly first. I don't want to make any videos where I'm sitting here going, well, I don't really know what I'm doing, but here's a video. Do this shit. I don't really know what I'm talking about. Oh, you broke your shit. Well, that sucks. Nope, I don't want that to happen to any of you guys. So I want to go and learn how to do it right before I give you any suggestions. And besides, to be perfectly honest, the best place for you guys to go for undervolting advice or any of that would be to my Discord, which is always in the description of every Asus G15 video. There's people that are way smarter than I am with that kind of stuff. Ski is one of them. There's plenty of others though too that are also very, very brilliant with all of that kind of stuff. So they can help you out far more than I can, but I still want to make a video on it eventually. So I will. Anyway though, this freaking outro is getting long as fuck. It's like 4 minutes long. Sorry about that, but lots to talk about. So in any case, why don't we now wrap this video on up? Sorry for the long outro, but I still hope you guys enjoyed the video. And until the next video, peace out, guys.